The name we've given this project is the Soil Armour project. What we're looking to explore and test is whether this pasture-based and hay bale system is a feasible way of overwintering cows and can be an alternative to the leaky forage crop approach. This is a 3-year field experiment funded by the Sustainable Land Management and Climate Change Fund, supported by MPI. One of the particular features of this pasture-based approach is that they rely on hay as an important source of feed, but also to leave a residue, as you can see in the paddock. And our hypothesis is that residual hay probably acts as an important sponge for some of the urinary nitrogen that's excreted. And if that's the case, we should see less nitrogen leaching under this approach. We think that there's an environmental benefit if our hypothesis is true, but there may also be quite significant animal welfare, public perception points of view, in that basically we expect to see much less mud.
So the advantages, I guess there's many, and when you think about the environment, there's a lot less soil exposed, and there's still a live root in the ground, so you're not seeing that erosion and any environmental issues coming through from that. Because the live root's in the ground, the grass is continually growing, so when spring comes along, the grass grows. And we're not waiting. If it was a crop area, for example, we'd have to cultivate and resow. We wouldn't really come into production until the end of the year for another 3 or 4 months from grazing it. So that's a great advantage. There's a lot of data to come out yet, but our observations are they're a lot more comfortable. The welfare of the cows are a lot better than standing in mud potentially. And the bales itself, I guess, on the winter grazing system, is the whole idea is that the cows will eat 80 to 75% of the bale, and the rest of the bale is regarded as litter, which then breaks down on the ground and then starts to get absorbed into the soil, where from the worms and all the biology, breaking it down, transforming the soil to be a lot more healthier.
We've just come to the end of our first winter, and first winter would back up our hypothesis, but obviously we need 2 or 3 winters to make sure we capture that variability in climate and winter condition that we expect. The way we're testing that hypothesis is by installing quite a large number of ceramic cup soil solution samplers, which is a method for measuring nitrate leaching in these types of soils. AgResearch has had a long history actually of exploring ways of managing our pasture systems, and we've learned a lot in terms of nitrogen inputs, good animal management practices that reduce losses from pasture. It's only in recent times that we've realised that the wintering part of the system, those winter forage crops, are actually very leaky for nitrogen. We've documented in studies elsewhere that the losses from the winter crops are somewhere in the order of 4 to 5 times greater per hectare than from pastures. We've sort of moved on from that benchmarking phase of experimentation, knowing the size of the problem, to now really trying to find solutions that provide alternative options for farmers to use that can reduce those losses and make the wintering system a less leaky part of the total dairy system. One of the ideas we're particularly interested in here is this concept of soil armour, where the regenerative agriculture thinking highlights to me that there's a good hypothesis around keeping a growing plant in the pasture and providing that residual hay that has multiple benefits, but one of which we think will be acting as a sponge for some of the excretal nitrogen that's returned. The initial signs look really encouraging in that there's certainly much less mud. The cows seem cleaner and happier, so from an observational point of view it looks quite promising.
What this has proven to me is that there's a myth that says you can't winter on grass in southern Otago particularly, and then particularly on heavy soil types, and this practice for me has broken that myth. We've really enjoyed the whole process because it's something that we believe could be quite fundamental in changing how we winter down in southern Otago and even through the rest of the country. And if we can show the data information, actually find out for ourselves what is happening underneath the soil, what is happening with the animals on this type of practice, then we're making more informed decisions.